All right, students, let's take a quick look at this Unit 4, Part A paper practice. This is just a kind of introduction to congruence, particularly with triangles, and we're looking at which pieces match and if that tells us congruence, and if we're missing any information, how we can identify what the missing information might be. So this first part says mark the angles and sides to indicate which parts are congruent. So they're going to show us like, hey, here is the matching parts. In other words, K matches Z and J matches I, and then, or on that one, but then I from the first one matches X from the second one. So let's see if we can kind of set that up. So here's K, and K is going to match Z, and then J is going to match I from this triangle, but then I from this triangle is going to match X from that triangle. All right, now here's how I can do these markings. I can mark angles in these corners. So I can mark those two. I can mark the J here with like a double arc. Then I'll match this I with a double arc. Then the last one, I'll do a triple arc and a triple arc. All right, now that I have those things, I can start kind of matching corresponding sides. I'll start between 1 and 2. I'll do a single mark. So that means between 1 and 2, between Z and I do a single mark there as well. And let's see what else we have. Between 2 and 3, I can do that double mark on that triangle and a double mark there. And then the last one would be this triple mark and this triple mark. So you're just trying to match the pieces together. Let's kind of do the same thing for this next one. We have an M goes with D. So M goes with D. And I'm actually just going to do the first letter and the last letter and show you that you don't necessarily have to do all three to see the patterns. And then N goes with C. So on MLN, that's that N, goes with that C. So we have M with D. I'm going to mark those two. N with C. It's got actually the same kind of pattern going on. And then this third one, I'll do the last marks, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It doesn't matter which type of arcs that you did, like whether it was a single arc, double, or triple, so long as it matches the correspondence between the two, that is the correct pair from each triangle. Then we have all of these like little segment hash marks as well. So I'll mark those. And I'm marking them in the same places. So like the triple hash mark is between the triple arc and the single arc. And here's the triple hash mark between the triple arc and the single arc. There we go. All right, now for these next ones, there are multiple correct answers. But what I'm going to do is kind of focus on the angle corners, looking for like the 1, 2, 3 pattern. And then the other one here, I'll do in red, or let's do purple. 1, 2, 3 pattern. Now this triangle is overlapping a whole lot. But what I notice is I have one triangle here, and that's VUT. And that's going to be congruent to, I got to look at the other triangle here in purple. And that starts at Y, then goes to W, then T. Y, W, T. Triangle Y, W, T. Now again, this could have had multiple correct answers so long as the V matched the Y, and the U matched the W, and the T matched the T. So there's lots of matching there. You could have done them in any certain order, so long as those pieces were the same order in each one. Let's go to the next one. I'm again, I'm just going to follow these angle arcs from the first single arc to the double arc to the triple. Then I have a 1, a 2, and a 3. That makes it a little bit easier for me to track between the matching pieces. So from one triangle, I have a Q, then an R, then an S. And in the other triangle, I have X, W, V. X, W, V. Okay, we're going to do a couple more here, but I'll do them a little bit faster. We're going to have one triangle is congruent to another triangle. I see that I have like a 1, 2, 3 pattern again, a 1, 2, 3 pattern. I'm looking at those arcs in the corners to match the corresponding parts. So from the left top triangle, I have a H, J, I. And from the other triangle, I have a H, C, B. All right, one last one with the same idea, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Triangle, WXV, V for that last letter there, is going to be congruent to triangle, 1, 2, 3 is KLM. Awesome, awesome. All right, now for this last bit, we have determine if two triangles are congruent. If they are, state how you know. Here's what we're going to be looking for throughout this. Just kind of separating these into 4 problems here. We are going to look at the combinations that we have. We're going to see if it matches any of our known combinations that happen to guarantee congruence. So we got side, side, angle, side, angle, side, angle, side, angle, and angle, angle, side. And then our last one that we'll use is hypotenuse leg, and that's the side, side angle or angle, side, side with right triangle. Okay, so here I see that I have two angles with a side in between, kind of, but let's get to that. I have 2 angles. This side is also congruent because it's overlapping. So anytime you have an overlapping side between triangles, you can say that that's also a corresponding part that's congruent. So that gives us angle, side, angle, a matching pair. So yes, it's congruent by angle, side, angle. All right, for the next one, we have 2 angles and 2 angles, which is a good sign because anytime you have 2 angles, you just need a side. It can either be opposite one of the angles or in between the 2 angles. Either way works. So angle, angle, and then we would have this third piece is the side that overlaps. So we have that overlapping side again. And the slight difference this time is that it's angle, angle, side, angle, angle, side. So this is yes by angle, angle, side. All right, for this next one, I see that it's a right triangle, and I see that I have the hypotenuse, which is across from the right angle, and I have a leg, which is adjacent to the right angle. And similarly, I have a right triangle with a hypotenuse and a leg. So this is yes by hypotenuse and leg. Remember that hypotenuse leg is really angle side side or side side angle depending on which direction you go. And it's one of the few cases that you can have congruence. So side side angle only sometimes has congruence, and it depends on some of the side lengths or if it's a right angle. All right, for this next one, they look congruent, but here's the problem. Even though they look congruent, this angle in between, I don't know. Like, what if this one was 39.5 or that wouldn't be 39.5. It'd be a little bit more than 90. Let's say this was like 92 and this was like 91. That would not be equal. 92 does not equal 91. So we don't know. Not enough information. So if we had any more information, any angle or the third side, we could have said, yep, that's enough. But it's just too little bit information. All right, now let's look at this next one. I see two sides matching. I see another pair of sides matching. Now what's not marked, but I could mark, is these vertical angles. And those vertical angles are congruent because we know that vertical angles are congruent. This gives me one of my patterns because I have side, angle, side, and I have side, angle, side. So side, angle, side, it is congruent, yes, by side, angle, side. Okay, let's look at this next one. Again, we have a pair of vertical angles. So we're always kind of looking out for those overlapping sides or vertical angles. So in this case, I have a pair of angles that I could add in there. That gives me a pattern of angle, then a side, then an angle there. And this would be an angle, then a side, then an angle again. All right, awesome. So I have another matching pattern. Yes, it's congruent by angle, side, angle. So we're trying to identify that pattern that says that we can make that assumption of, oh, okay, we have enough information that it is going to be congruent. This third one, number 13 here, third one on this page so far, it has an overlapping side. So this overlapping side, let's do a highlighter there instead of a pen. This overlapping side is also congruent because it's overlapping. We call that reflexive property. Reflexive property. Yes. Let's go back to black. This is, yes, it's congruent by side, side, side. And that overlapping piece is congruent because of reflexive property. So if you're wondering why, how can we say that, or what label do we give that evidence? It's reflexive property. So if you're like, what does reflexive property mean? When something's equal to itself, because it's already overlapping, it's kind of like seeing a reflection in the mirror. When you look in the mirror, there's your reflection, that is you. So you, through reflexive property, we can say, yep, I am equal to myself. So whenever you're overlapping, you kind of have to say, I'm equal to myself. Again, we're going to have that here. So this side is there where it is congruent for both. I notice that I have an angle and an angle that are congruent. And I also have an angle and an angle that are congruent. Anytime you have two angles and any side, whether it's in between or opposite, it is going to be a yes congruent. We just need to kind of identify our pattern here. So the pattern happens to be angle, side, angle, and then, or angle, angle, side, and angle, angle, side. So we have angle, angle, side. All right, now we have a situation for these 6 problems where we are told, try to fit this pattern, but something's missing. And what is that missing thing? So if I need side, angle, side, well, I have 2 sides. The missing angle is in the middle between the 2 sides. So that would be angle W from this one is missing. So that missing piece, let's highlight it right there, right there. And similarly, we're looking for the missing angle between the other 2, which would be angle Q. For me to have side angle side, I would have also needed the extra information of angle W is congruent to angle Q. It was not given to me, but if it were, that would complete side angle side. For the next one, we are being asked to do angle side. Well, I have a side here for sure. I don't see any angles marked, but there is this angle in between that's vertical. So I can go ahead and mark that. That's implied. And to complete angle side, I need a second angle that's not next to the segment. That would be this one across from it. So I'm going to put a double arc on there. Similarly, I need this other angle that is across from it. Now these do look like they're going to match up. It looks like they're going to reflect across this line. So that's helpful to see too. And so that tells me that the missing piece I needed was this angle H and angle A. So I'll say angle H congruent to angle A would have been my missing piece of information. Okay. For the next one, I notice that I have an overlapping side. So that overlapping side can be marked congruent for free. And it's asking me to say, how would I have all three sides marked? What would be the missing information? Well, there's only one side left on each of those triangles. So the missing piece would be these two green segments. So I'm going to list those two green segments, HC and AB. They could be written forwards or backwards. Segments are allowed to do that. So HC congruent to AB. There we go. For our next one, we're looking for a side between the two angles, and these two triangles are not overlapping. So, excuse me. So what we need to do is find the missing side between the two angles that still isn't marked. For the left triangle, that would be JI or IJ. And for the right triangle, that would be PQ or QP. So we'll say JI and PQ needed to be marked congruent in order to fit this angle with the side between them. This next one is also asking for angle side angle, but it's slightly different because we know that the side overlapping is already congruent because of reflexive property. And, things that overlap each other are the same. So we have an angle here, angle there, a side, but now we need to complete the other angle. So that would be the angle BDC and DCH. And I need to use all the letters there, BDC. Because if I just said angle D, well, that could be multiple different angles. There's like 3 different angles that could be referring to. So that's not precise enough. So I need to see BDC and HCD or DCH as well. All right, for our last one, it's actually kind of similar to what we just saw, except it's looking for a slightly different pattern. We can go ahead and mark the segment in between for free because it overlaps. That's reflexive property. But now I'm looking for, we have an angle and a side, and we're looking for an angle that is not next to the side but opposite it. It's going to be opposite on the other part. So that would be angle A here and angle Y there. It's away from the side, not touching it. So angle A needs to be congruent to angle Y. There we go. And now that's it. That's all these problems complete. There is an answer key as well that you can check, but going through the process kind of slowly and checking your thinking as you go is pretty important to process each of these questions. Thank you, and have a good day.